Welcome back to the Takeout. As states, including Texas and New Mexico, reel from flash flooding, Vermont Senator Peter Welch is proposing changes to the federal government agency responsible for coordinating disaster response and recovery efforts. The Democratic lawmaker toured communities impacted by flooding in 2023 and 2024. I spoke with Senator Welch a short time ago. I want to start our conversation, Senator, with what's going on in Texas. Vermont is no stranger to recent natural disasters, massive flooding. What are your thoughts about what Texas is going through and what it says about the future of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, which, as you know, President Trump has said he effectively wants to disband?
Well, first of all, Texas is so heartbreaking because kids in camps got swept away. So these disasters have a lot of human suffering, but when it's kids, that's really brutal. And then, you know, the river rising like 26 feet in 45 minutes, not a chance. The Weather Service person who normally would be trying to get the warnings out apparently was a victim of Doge. But the idea that the president is talking about getting rid of FEMA, Secretary Noem the same. They can do that when they pass an executive order stopping flooding, stopping natural disasters. Then we'll have a conversation. We have to have FEMA in Texas, North Carolina, Tennessee, of course, Vermont. This is the anniversary of floods we had a year ago on the same day that we had a flood 2 years ago. So we absolutely need FEMA, but FEMA needs to be reformed, not abolished.
How does it need to be reformed? I've seen op-eds that you've written. You are complimentary of what FEMA does to put things in position ahead of time, what it does immediately after a disaster, but the longer-term reimbursement and other financial assistance. Could that be dealt with differently?
Yes. Rely on local control. Empower local officials. Empower the local communities, to make decisions about what needs to be done and when. Have them have much more authority over the expenditure of funds that are authorized and be able to do the day-to-day work that's required over a sustained period of time. Let me give an example. Yeah. Like in Lyndonville, Vermont, Stannard, Vermont, there's like 300 people in that community. They have to get permission from Puerto Rico about the size of stone that they'll use to repave a road that was washed away. Okay, so just think about that. You've got folks who are local officials and they want to act. They've got their community residents saying, when are we going to get our road back so I can get home or get back out in the fields? And you have to go through this incredible process of getting permission. Who should make the decision about whether you use a 18-inch culvert or a 36-inch culvert, right? It's the local people who are going to be affected by the decision. So my view here is that you've got to take advantage of that incredible energy at the local level where people feel an acute sense of responsibility
and
urgency to get the show back on the road. Now, all we'd have to do, I think, is we'd have to have accountability because local officials who are empowered, in my view, to make these decisions have to be responsible.
Right.
But instead of having accountability by micromanaging the size of the culvert, you have oversight so that there's hell to pay if local officials abuse the discretion that they should have, in my view, decision-making authority and flexibility.
This administration, as you know, has talked about block grants, just big money, one big check, give it to the state, give it to the locals, let them do whatever they want to do.
No, because the block grant really is an excuse for having the federal government back out and not address the reality of what the situation is with this particular natural disaster. I mean, you had Hurricane Helene in North Carolina. You have this horrible situation on the Guadalupe River. You had our floods. And you cannot predict exactly what that is going to be. So there is always a budget question that is the job of Congress to supplement the disaster relief fund that's based on the real world of what disasters have occurred. So the bottom line here is I don't trust this so-called block grant because I think it's essentially just moving the responsibility back to the states.
When President Biden was in charge and you had a majority in the Senate, your side effectively rolled Republicans on the American Rescue Plan and the Inflation Reduction Act. How did it feel to get rolled on the big, beautiful bill?
Pretty bad. I mean, first of all, using this reconciliation process, which is now the norm, is essentially given up on bipartisanship.
It has.
And I find that to be not only emotionally disturbing, because I like to work with anybody who's wanting to solve a problem, but I think potentially really threatening to the well-being of our democracy, because the big challenges we face, like making an affordable healthcare system, we have to do that whether you voted for Trump or you voted for Harris. Having a FEMA operation that works, these floods, they go to red state Texas or they come to blue state Vermont. So the challenge...
27 events last year that cost more than $1 billion.
Yeah, there you go.
Each.
Exactly. And my point here is that these things that are having an impact on our lives and our security, they really have equal opportunity pain. This bill that was just passed, just Republican votes, is going to inflict pain in a bipartisan basis. I mean, the cuts to health care through Medicaid, the progress we've made on opioid addiction reduction, that's a significant result of the expenditures that we've made through Medicaid. So we're putting in peril this horrible scourge of opioid addiction rising instead of diminishing that has affected rural areas, red or blue. So I'm extremely concerned about this, but I do believe it's absolutely important that all of us who believe in bipartisanship as a way of making our democracy stronger, as a way of coming up with solutions that are beneficial, regardless of your political belief, that we've got to try to do our best to get the Congress to function again in a way that it must in order to be helpful to American people.
Senator Peter Welch, Vermont, Democrat.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you here. Thanks so much.
Thank you.